asshat.
Yes.
So the most recent thing he said, and Will already heard this,
Oh yeah.
but
Let me turn off the
he
light, but I'm listening.
he like he is like feels like that guy in high school, like the yeah you better walk that way. Like what are you talking about? Because he looked at me and I was heading to the bathroom, minding my own business. He doesn't work in the same spa as me anymore, so he just drags pallets of totes now. So he has a really mundane job, and it's worse than what it was. But he probably complained because he wasn't doing enough. Okay, so he looks at me as I'm walking by, and he looks at me and like does that like that raise his head up like look, and he says, "Yeah, you better fix it."
Oh, I hate that when you
What?
told me that.
What? What am I fixing? And why am I fixing it? Why is it my problem that you messed something up? Who's at fault here? What do you want from me? And then he didn't say anything else. He just walked away. So just and then, but the reason I wanted to beat the snot out of somebody was there's another guy who is the exact opposite of that guy, where he's like in his late 20s, but he's just content not he's not content with himself, so he likes to hear himself complain. So he's like, "Hey, I had a Fallout shirt." He's like, "Hey, you like Fallout?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, what specs are you running at?" I was like, "Just average specs. I'm just trying to make it run well." And he's like, "Well, you should get better." And he just like vomited computer lingo that I didn't understand. I was like, "Okay," and he just kept talking. I was like, "All right, stop." He's like, "But Fallout isn't really that good with graphics. They've always been bad." And I was like, "Okay, whatever. Just stop talking." But recently, like not yesterday, Sunday, he's I'm over in my spot, and across the way, he's up on like his side of the building, and he's talking to me. He's like, "Yeah, so Fallout 4 is a role playing game." I was like, "Okay." I started off. I was like, "Well, I haven't played much. I've only played like 10, 15 hours. I am not very far in the game, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you know what I think when I've got further." To which he just straight up tells me the ending and complains about it. And he says, "Yeah, it's not a role playing game. It's a first person shooter, but there's no role playing to it because fill in the blank, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, I shouted, I was like, "Shut up. I told you I haven't played the game. You're still talking." And he just kept talking. I just turned away from him. I was like, "Stop talking. Jesus."
I hate when people do that.
Like, I
That's
literally wanted to go across the gap, like, climb down from my section, go over there, and punch him in the face, and be like, "Shut up."
it's usually
Oh,
if I know people are playing the same game I am. I've learned that mistake. I always go, "Have you gotten to this? How far are you in?" Before I even say anything like that.
then
So
Fallout? Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
or like
Just,
just any game in
that,
general. Like when we talked Metal Gear Solid, you guys asked me how far am I, and I said I'm at this point. You're like, "Oh, it's gonna get good here."
yeah.
Around that time, you wouldn't tell me what, but you'll just be, "It's gonna get good around this
It's like
mission."
the S&E with TV shows, season and episode. You gotta say those, like, you ask that question first before you do anything. You don't just say,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, yeah."
Yeah, do what you gotta do. But
Yeah,
I
just
would have decked the guy.
people. Just he has a really nasally voice and talks like this, and he just complains about everything because everything's bullshit. Yeah, it's just like, that guy.
That guy though.
Never played the